If the person you love the most betrays you, what do you do? Do you scream? Do you beg? Do you fall apart? Or do you do nothing? This is not the story of a man who lost his mind after being cheated on. This is the story of a man who found his peace, who discovered the devastating power of silence, and how that silence shattered the very person who betrayed him. Her name was Mira. I met her on a Tuesday. That's all I remember. Not because the day was special, but because the moment was. She wasn't the most beautiful woman in the room, but she was the most noticed. There's a difference. The kind of woman whose presence rearranges the gravity of a room. People lean slightly toward her without realizing it. And I wasn't supposed to care. I was focused. On my goals. On building. On discipline. Women like her were like fire to me. Fascinating, warm, dangerous. We talked. At first it was nothing. Coffee, a few laughs, some shared songs. But then it became something. You know how it goes. The long messages. The good mornings. The way silence between you starts feeling intimate instead of awkward. I fell. And I didn't just fall, I dove. Now listen, I'm not naive. I've read the books, listened to the podcasts. Don't fall too fast, they say. Stay in your masculine frame, they say. But rules melt in the presence of certain smiles. She had that kind of smile. For a year, it felt perfect. Dinners, deep talks at 2 a.m., arguments that ended in soft apologies. She met my friends. I met her mother. She even left a toothbrush at my place. And then one night, she left more than her toothbrush. She left clues. It was a message on her phone. A name I didn't recognize. A heart emoji. Can't wait to see you again. I stared at it like it was written in another language. Denial is always the first reaction. It's probably nothing. She's loyal. She wouldn't. But then you see it again, and again, and it becomes harder to lie to yourself than to face the truth. So I watched. I didn't confront her. I didn't snoop or stalk. I just watched. Watched how she changed her perfume. Watched how she smiled at her phone like it was a secret. Watched how she started coming over less and dressing up more when she left my place. I watched, and I waited, not because I was weak, but because I was choosing my strength. You see, most men react. We rage, we cry, we confront. We want answers. We want explanations. But I wanted something different. I wanted clarity. And when it came, it hit like a storm. She was at my place one Saturday. We ordered food, watched some mindless show, laughed. Then she went to the bathroom. She left her phone on the couch. Unlocked. It was like the universe placed a truth grenade in my lap and dared me to pull the pin. I opened the messages, and there he was. Ryan, a name I'd never heard, but one I would never forget. They had a thread full of inside jokes, plans for trips, and pictures. Pictures of them. Together. Happy. And in one of them, she wore the same necklace she said was from her sister. My fingers didn't shake. My heart didn't race. Instead, something strange happened. I smiled. Not out of happiness, but out of clarity. Everything made sense now. And that's when I made my decision. I wouldn't say a word. When she came back from the bathroom, I looked her in the eyes and asked, "Do you want dessert?" She smiled. She didn't know that I knew. She didn't know that smile would be the last one she'd ever give me as us. Over the next week, I started detaching. Not with anger, but with precision. I pulled my heart out of her hands like a sword from a sheath. I responded slower. I didn't initiate conversations. I stopped saying I love you. I was present but not plugged in. She noticed. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "Of course," I replied. She got nervous. She tried harder. Suddenly she wanted to meet. She wanted to talk. But I was already gone. I wasn't giving her revenge. I was giving her something worse. The realization that she lost a man who could have been everything for someone who was just something. And I didn't have to shout. I didn't have to explain. She would realize it on her own. And that realization, it broke her. Part 2, the slow collapse. It started with small things. The calls became longer. The texts became more frequent. She'd message, "I miss you," at 11:52 p.m. I'd reply at 8:07 a.m. with, "Hope you slept well." She felt it. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of everything I wasn't saying. Her guilt filled the gaps between our words. She started showing up unannounced. holding takeout and trying to act like we were still us. I figured you hadn't eaten, she'd say, smiling like nothing had changed. But everything had. I'd eat the food, thank her, watch a movie with her, kiss her forehead before she left. And she would walk away wondering, does he know? That doubt, it consumed her. She wasn't worried I'd leave. She was worried I'd already left and she couldn't stop it. That's what stoicism does. It doesn't scream when it's hurt. It watches, it accepts, and it moves with quiet, devastating grace. About 3 weeks after I saw the messages, she broke. She called me one evening, her voice shaking.
Can we talk?
Of course, I said, like nothing was wrong. She came over, dressed in the hoodie I gave her, the one she used to wear when she missed me. She sat on my couch like a student waiting for punishment. Her eyes searched mine, but I gave her nothing. Just calm, controlled presence. She took a breath and started. I need to tell you something, she said. And I smiled. The kind of smile that says, I already know. She froze. I didn't say a word. So she continued. She told me about Ryan, about how it just happened, about how she was confused, about how she still loved me, about how she was sorry. She wept. Her voice cracked. Her hands shook. Her heart spilled out like it had been waiting for this moment to confess. And I said nothing. I listened. Every word she spoke was a dagger she thought would kill me. But I had already healed. She thought this was a wound. She didn't realize it was a scar. When she finished, she looked at me like a prisoner waiting to hear her sentence. And I said, I know. Her face twisted in shock. You know? I nodded. For how long? Long enough. Silence. It stretched out between us like a chasm. Wide. Deep. Irreversible. I don't understand, she whispered. Why didn't you say anything? And I answered her with the truth she wasn't ready for. Because saying something would have given you power. You would have felt important, like your betrayal deserved my anger. But it didn't, it only deserved my absence. She cried harder. Tried to reach for my hand. I didn't pull away. But I didn't hold her either. That's what stoicism looks like in real life. Not cold, not cruel, but still unaffected, unshaken. She kept apologizing like words could rewind time, but I wasn't listening to her anymore. I was listening to myself, to the man inside me who had grown stronger in silence, the man who realized he didn't need revenge. He needed freedom. People think revenge is power. It's not. Reaction is weakness in disguise. Real power is in non-reaction, in choosing peace when chaos is handed to you, in choosing silence when you've been betrayed. Because silence, it echoes, it haunts. And in that room that night, my silence screamed louder than any insult ever could. She stayed for hours, trying to rebuild what she had already burned. But I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was simply done. Not loudly, but completely. And when she left that night, she knew. She hadn't just lost me. She had destroyed the version of herself that I loved. Weeks passed. She tried everything. Flowers, letters, long texts full of memories. She sent me a playlist of our songs. She even wrote, I'll never forgive myself for what I did to us. But that was the point. She wasn't supposed to forgive herself. She was supposed to live with it. Because some lessons don't come from punishment. They come from loss. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't slam the door when it leaves. It just never comes back. In time, I found peace again. I focused on my body, my craft, my circle. I found meaning in the stillness. I replaced pain with purpose. Not quickly, but completely. And that's when I realized something powerful. She didn't break me. She revealed me. She forced me to become a man who doesn't chase closure. He creates it. A man who doesn't lose sleep over betrayal because betrayal is never about you. It's about them. People don't cheat because they're unhappy with you. They cheat because they're unhappy with themselves. And no amount of love, attention, or sacrifice can fix someone who hasn't faced their own emptiness. She's still out there, still liking my stories, still watching from afar, still wondering how I stayed so calm, still hoping to someday be forgiven, but I've already forgiven her. Not for her sake, but for mine. Because carrying anger is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies, and I'm too focused on my future to bleed over wounds I didn't cause. She cheated. I didn't react. That broke her more than revenge. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.